Centerpiece, the show dedicated to fighting on the front lines of political hypocrisy, exposing the lies and false promises of our leadership. And now your host, the voice of reason, Nick Messer.
Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of Centerpiece. I am Nick Messer, the voice of reason, and I am joined in the studio this evening with the lovely Mina May and a special guest, my brother Joey.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
Thanks for hanging out with us, Joey. I hope you enjoy your time here.
We'll see.
Just a little background. Joey's a little bit more left of the aisle than we are. Actually, he's left of the aisle. We are not.
Yeah.
So we want to get out here and basically have some discussions with you for you guys tonight to show you that, to be quite honest with you, on a general basis, it's actually possible to talk to somebody who is opposite of your particular beliefs. Like, you can sit down and have a conversation. You know, the biggest issues that we're really kind of having with, like, the left versus right is the far left and the alt right. Like, they're the ones who like to fight.
Right. We're not that scary.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. Joey and I have talked. I think one of the biggest things is that one of the things we can agree with is that, like, our government's execution, regardless of whether we agree with the ideal or not, just really sucks.
Yeah.
So, got several topics to talk to you about tonight. What, Mina? You look like you just found a piece of candy.
No, I just...
But we want to cover some topics that we didn't get to talk about with when Riri was here. So we kind of want to get into school choice and talk about that and what kind of effect that's had on minority communities in the United States. We want to talk about the vaccines and the leadership and their hypocrisy in how they've handled the COVID-19 crisis and the vaccines, and the fact that Canada is jealous. They're jealous of an underdeveloped country.
Thanks, Norway.
Thanks, Norway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm just gonna kind of shit talk tonight.
When don't you though?
When she starts talking about like the sex trafficking and OUR, like she will roll out her soapbox and climb on it and stay there.
Yeah, I kind of get going and rolling, and it just he goes on.
Yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about, hopefully we're going to get an opportunity to talk about how Major League Baseball decided they're going to pack up the All-Star game from Georgia and take it somewhere else because of the voter laws.
Oh, okay, so was that why I was seeing, holy mackerel, okay. So is that why I was seeing so many things on Twitter today about, I guess I'm not watching Major League Baseball today.
Yeah, Major League Baseball cowered to the woke mob.
Woketopia.
Yeah, the woke mob. Even though they had no idea what Georgia's voter ID law provision for. As a matter of fact, their law, actually, if you sit down and read the bill and the law that they signed in, it actually expands voter accessibility. It doesn't actually restrict it. And that's one of the things I was going to tell you right before we went live. Down in Georgia, a lot of the rural areas, their polls were only open part-time.
Why only part-time?
But just because they didn't have the staffing to be able to keep them open. So the bill provided funding for some of these rural locations so that they could staff it and at least be open 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So it expands the opportunity for people to go and vote. It makes it more readily available. Yeah. And see, the thing about it is that each individual state, per the Constitution, when it comes to federal elections, each individual state is allowed to set its policy however it wants. Okay? And really, honestly, Georgia's general policy is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
with optional Saturday and Sundays, and a lot of like the areas with the urban areas, they do weekends because you got a lot of people who work 9 to 5 and stuff like that,
Right.
During the week. So they're not really necessarily available to get out and go vote during the week. So there's, optional times during the weekend. So this, like, provisions for all of that. And like I was telling you before, you can't walk up and just start handing people stuff that's in line. Now, if you're standing in line voting, me as your brother, and I brought you something, you specifically, that's okay.
Well, yeah, because we're family.
Yeah.
And we know each other.
And we know each other. You know what I mean? They just don't want people trying to take the opportunity to try to essentially bribe the voters with gifts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want some candy?
Yeah, you want some candy?
Get in the van.
Right. I mean, it really kind of, that's kind of what it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the Democrats on one end with a table set up with cookies, and the Republicans on the other end set up with pizza. You know what I mean? Like, come to the Republican side because we have pizza. No, come to the Democrat side because we got cookies. Like, because they'll do that.
Right.
100%, they'll absolutely do that. So that's when you hear them talking about you can't even give somebody a bottle of water. It's because the polling places have those provisions. Like that's written into this law. That has to be available to the voters.
I mean, me personally, I didn't see any water bottles available to me when I was out voting, but
Right here in small town Rensselaer, they had a table with disinfecting wipes, hand sanitizer, and they had drinking cups and a water fountain.
see, I didn't have that. But then again, I did early voting, so that was, I think that was, no, that's how bad my memory is. I'm trying to remember if I was even wearing a mask when I went to go vote.
I was.
I don't think
I voted on election day, so.
I voted before. I did early voting, so I don't think COVID was as big as an issue as it was. So the mask mandate wasn't.
How early? Because the mask mandate went into effect here in Indiana in like March.
When did polls open?
I don't know when they opened the polls for early voting.
I'm fairly certain I was not wearing a mask when I was voting.
You must have voted in the primaries then.
I think so.
You must have voted in the primaries, not in the actual full-on election, because the candidates hadn't even been announced in March. It wasn't until like what, September or October they even had the debates between Biden and Trump.
Well, either way.
Yeah. So, but that's part of the Georgia bill. Like, it wasn't present for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the Georgia bill is to do that. Well, Joe Biden and several others went on national TV and said that this is completely and totally unacceptable, this law, because that people have to show ID to vote, and they're not allowed to be bribed by any political party with goods and stuff while they're standing in line waiting to vote, which I think seems perfectly fair. A big deal was made out of it, and Major League Baseball, Joe Biden actually went on national television, had a press conference, and said that he supports that the Major League Baseball moving out of Georgia, moving the All-Star game out of Georgia because of the law.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, if you want to bow down to the woke mob and you want to move Major League Baseball out of Georgia, your ratings are probably gonna drop just like everything else. I mean, I know. Here's the thing. I mean, we're getting to the point where it's let's cancel this, let's cancel that, we're gonna cancel everything. But pretty soon you're gonna run out of things to cancel. You're gonna have your own little group of far left, crazies over here, and then you're going to have the rest of us who's all been canceled, and we're all going to be like, yeah, you guys go move to California, we're going to wall y'all off.
Yeah. So, like, what are you mad about that got canceled so far?
What am I mad about that's gotten canceled?
Or just, like, what are you looking at and be like, that's really stupid, why are you canceling that?
My biggest issue about the whole canceling thing is the treatment of people. So, Gina Carano, for one. And then the way Sephora handled what happened to one of their influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about that one?
Mm-mm.
Well, I wrote a piece on that one. So.
Yeah, go ahead and fill us in again. I don't remember the super details.
Lord have mercy, you're gonna make me do this.
But Gina Carano, that's the woman from The Mandalorian. Did you hear about that one? That's the one where she made the post and they said she was pro-Nazi.
I remember hearing, like, something about her, but I didn't hear what it was.
So she sent out a tweet on Twitter. She posted a tweet that said that in order for Hitler to get to the point where he could round up all the Jews and stuff them into concentration camps, he essentially had to get all of their neighbors to hate them simply for being Jewish, which is what happened. Like, if you talk to anybody who lived through that time period, they can remember like German children would chase them through the streets to beat on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she kind of compared that to the way a lot of conservatives are being treated, and because they don't buy into the woke mob mentality, and because it's not so much that they have an issue with the ideal. It's, once again, like I said, it's the execution. You know what I mean? It's the like, for example, BLM. I agree systemic racism exists, but I don't believe that it exists because I'm white and you're white and she's white. It's not our fault. You know what I mean? And that's who they're directing their anger and angst at. You know what I mean? Like, they're destroying their own and our communities. They're not going towards the source of the problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
But if you say anything against BLM at all whatsoever, you're canceled. You need to be silenced.
Okay, so they're kind of taking it to an extreme. Like, if you don't agree with us, you're against us.
Yeah, you're either with us or you're against us.
Them.
Yeah, it's very much us or them.
Okay.
You know, and it really is, and that's kind of what happened with. You know, well, that's like you had a lot of people who were conservative on Facebook and Twitter. So you had conservatives on Facebook and Twitter, and the liberals were telling them, if you want to be a conservative, then go get your own thing. Go get your own thing. Go get your own thing. Well, they created Parler, and then they canceled Parler.
I was like, didn't Parler get shut down with like a week or a month or something like that?
Parler is back up and running now. They found a new server for it and everything like that, but the damage is done now. Yeah. Like, they got shut down for like 6 weeks or whatever. They were originally being hosted on Amazon. Amazon was providing their web hosting for their website and their app, and yes, there were some people on there that were. See, the problem was that Parler would not censor anybody. If you went on there and made racist comments, they left them up. Unless you were specifically calling for some sort of violence in some way, shape, or form, they left it up. The only thing that they censored out was calls for violence. So if you were racist and hateful, they left it up, and they let the community just absolutely destroy you.
Good, you deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, like 100%.
You're free to have your opinion. You're going to be an asshole, and people are going to see it, but you can still have your opinion.
Right. Well, the thing about it is, you can have your opinion, but be aware of the fact that may cause other people to have an opinion also, and they're allowed to have their opinion.
You are not free from the consequences of your words, actions, or opinions.
That's not really how rights work.
Well, no, but
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can still have your opinion and your choices and whatnot,
Right.
but you're still going to have the consequences.
I can still have an opinion about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's that. Now, you may not, the consequences may not necessarily be like you go to jail or get sued, you know, unless it's slander or libel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Parler wouldn't do that. So they decided Parler was racist. And
Because it tolerated the remarks and stuff
yeah.
like that? Okay.
So Google shut them down and Apple shut them down. They got rid of their app on the Play Store. They wouldn't carry it. And then Amazon cowed. Also, Amazon, Google, and Facebook are working together, just so you know.
Well, duh.
They share information. That's why all three of them have been going before congressional judiciary committees.
Yeah, that's why when I look up sex toys on Google, I'm starting to get Facebook ads for them.
Right. Yeah, they communicate. And they specifically target those three companies have liberal views, not conservative views, and they censor the conservative views. 100. They absolutely 100% do. They did it to her.
What?
Censored you.
Oh, well, yeah.
She had our Save Our Children movement, and they shut her group down.
I remember seeing that.
And she emailed them and was like, "Why'd you shut my group down?" And they banned her. All of his baby pictures that we had on there and everything, they're gone. Absolutely deleted. And they would not. And then when she finally made a new account, she was shadow banned for like 6 months. She couldn't post anything for like 6 months with her new account.
Yeah. But now this, what I had said, with the Sephora influencer, or the YouTube influencer who was partnering with Sephora, she had made it a point before partnering with Sephora to let them know that she was a conservative and that she needed reassurance from the advertiser, which of course is Sephora, that her political views and her ability to use her voice on social media would not affect her getting compensated before getting involved with them, and that she asked for a guarantee that the advertiser would uphold an influencer's right to use their voice. This is kind of, I guess, where the whole cancel culture thing really started.
I mean, this was one of the first cases.
And so Sephora and Reward Style responded to her saying, "Please let me assure you that we do not discriminate against any political or religious group. And this clause is not enacted to do that. Sephora and Reward Style respects differing views, and this would only ever be referenced in extreme situations such as violence or hate speech. We cannot remove the clause, but I understand if you choose not to move forward." Now, Amanda Ensing is Latina. So she's...
And isn't she also a veteran?
No.
Oh, I thought she was also a veteran.
And she had posted a couple of things on Twitter about January 6th, about how many MAGA, Trump supporters had been out there. And then she had also posted a tweet that said, "People from the left, I hate it here. America is embarrassing," because at the time this is what they were saying when Trump was in office. Only we can riot and loot, defund the police. Just do what the government tells you and don't ask questions. The right? Let's fight for freedom. We love the USA. Defend the Constitution. We support our military and law enforcement. Well, somebody didn't like the fact that she posted that. And they posted on Sephora's Twitter, "Didn't love Sephora before, but after seeing you sponsor Amanda Ensing, a supporter of the dangerous MAGA group," really? MAGA's dangerous?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, no. I'm out. So Sephora literally just
Fired her.
well, they just ended
They ended their contract with
their
her.
contract with her after even guaranteeing her that they do not discriminate against any political views.
And then they turned around and canceled their contract with her because of her political views.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the
And she didn't-
cancel culture kind of started.
She didn't say anything that would be constituted as hate speech or called for violence. She was just kind of calling it as she saw it.
Yep.
I mean,
If anything, people should be mad at Sephora then for going back on their word.
but they're not. Sephora did a great thing. I really kind of want to make this, to bring this up. The MAGA people, I will tell you right now, are absolutely 100% dangerous. 100%.
Yeah.
Because you've turned them into a caged animal that's backed into a corner. And that's the most dangerous thing on the face of the planet. I will tell you with 100% certainty, I know a large group of people across the United States are starting to say it's about time to start stacking bodies. Like, they are not playing anymore. They are tired of being beaten and berated verbally and treated like a second-class human being. And they're going to start fighting back. Period.
That's basically the whole premise of BLM too then.
Right, but they're not coming after the individual people.
The problem is BLM is coming after a race as a whole when the race as a whole doesn't treat them that way.
Like 85 to 90% of the people in the United States have no concern for the color of your skin at all whatsoever. Are there some people who are racist? Yes, there are some people who are racist. But the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of people like me that are absolutely tired of being called racist simply because I am white, even though you know nothing about me.
Well, then I would say the true heart of BLM does not go after the whole race. They go after what the issues are, like the systemic racism and everything like that. And
I understand, and I would wholeheartedly agree
I don't
with
know.
you.
I didn't feel that way when we were at Jack's the other night.
Have you looked into the BLM website and the money that they've raised?
Not recently, no.
Okay, BLM has raised over $2 billion. Do you know where it went?
Mm-mm.
Democratic National Convention.
Not once did it go to any of the families that so apparently or so
They're-
desperately needed it.
They're being sued by Michael Brown's father for $20 million. Did you hear about that one?
No.
Yeah, Michael Brown, what BLM started their case on, the hands up, don't shoot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Brown's family hasn't seen a dime from BLM, and their whole cause was started on his name. And they haven't helped that family at all. In 2019, there were 14 African-American people shot by police that were, quote-unquote, unarmed. After the fact, find out of those 14, 13 of them were actually armed. Okay, so there was one African-American killed. Do you know how many African-Americans were killed by the BLM riots from February to, like, November? 36. BLM destroyed more black lives than racist police officers did. I agree. Systemic racism does exist. But they're not looking at the right target.
No. But I also believe that there were people using the Black Lives Matter movement for their own personal agenda. Like, they were kind of coasting under them and doing their own stuff. Like, with the riots and everything, like, making everything look worse than what it was.
I can 100% completely and totally agree with you on that. I believe that for the most part, a lot of these violent BLM riots that happened were hijacked. They were originally peaceful, and they became violent later on. But the problem is BLM didn't necessarily get involved in condemning any of that either. They kind of embraced that kind of culture.
Right, because I mean, when you get to a point where when you have a white person or white people telling other white people to hate themselves for being white. It's a sad world.
Yeah, I mean that's
Like, I'm not going to teach my kids that, and I'm not sorry, but like, I'm not going to hate myself for who I was born, the way I was born. I'm not going to treat just like I wouldn't treat anybody any different just because of what? Because they have a birth defect? Because they went to war and they don't have an arm, they don't have a leg?
right.
Because their face is messed up?
So do you think that white privilege is a thing or no?
Do I think white privilege is a thing? No.
Absolutely not.
Right, white privilege, what do you hear and what do you think? What comes to mind?
What comes to mind to me?
Yeah. What is it about white privilege that you don't think is real or like you don't agree with?
I don't agree with it because it's absolutely the most racist thing that you can possibly say.
What other privileges do I have that everyone else doesn't have? Like, what do they not have that I don't have?
If you told me that there's class privilege, I would agree with you 100%. Absolutely 100%. If you tell me that there's racial privilege simply because of the color of my skin, white privilege is, let me explain to you why white privilege is so racist to actually say. Okay, white privilege basically insinuates that I am somehow predisposed to succeed simply because I am white, and the system is geared towards my benefit. Okay, that being said, that means you're also saying that African Americans are doomed to fail simply because they're black.
Now, if you're going to take it from a perspective of let's I don't know, let's go for an example, like as far as like getting pulled over. Am I would I be more, what's the word?
Afraid?
No. Would I be more apt to be pulled over, or would a black person be more apt to be pulled over?
Depends on where it is. African American people drive through Rensselaer, Indiana all the time, and they don't get pulled over simply because they're black.
No, but black people have a higher chance of getting pulled over if they're in a nicer neighborhood or if they're driving a nicer car. Like, black people do get targeted. That's what the white privilege is. Because you're white, you have a less chance of getting targeted by the systemic racism that is in place. That's what white privilege is. It's saying that you're not going to get targeted because you are white. And that's true. Black people have a higher chance of getting pulled over when they're in nicer neighborhoods and people are like, you don't belong here. You can see videos of that all over the internet. Black African American people are getting called the cops on them for swimming in a pool because a white Karen thinks, hey, you shouldn't be here. Why are you here?
Okay, so she's a white Karen. She's a racist bitch.
Okay, but then the cops come, and instead of getting their story, they're like, what are you doing here? Let me see your ID. Like, they instantly go hard on the black people instead of being like, hey, what's going on? Instead of trying to get the story. And that's what the white privilege is. If I was a white person, I am a white person, but if I was
Oh, wait, I am a white person.
But like, if I was out in a nicer neighborhood where I didn't belong, I probably wouldn't get the cops on me because I look like I belong. That's my white privilege.
And you don't think that okay. Then, so you know what we're going to do? Well, as soon as we're done with the show, we're going to hop in the car. We're going to go drive through Gary.
Let's go.
Tonight.
All right.
Through downtown Gary.
Let's do it. I've been there once before. I know what to expect.
Are you absolutely sure?
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, we are... I hate to use this phrase. I absolutely despise it. You know how we've had talks about this. You know how I am about subscribing to a particular set of behaviors. We are entirely way too white to be up there after dark. I promise you.
Exactly.
The police will not come for us to rescue us there. So just as much as there are places where African Americans will get targeted simply for being somewhere where they don't belong, yeah, we will get targeted for being up there because we don't belong.
But that's the problem, is that black people have more areas of that happening.
there's more white areas than
Right, because we're 67% of the population, brother.
Okay, yes. But
So of course there's going to be more. I mean, nobody wants to talk about the factual statistics, like the fact that, 13% of the population is responsible for 54% of the murder and 53% of the armed robbery. Like, you know what I'm saying? So more than 50% of the time, if somebody is called if they call for the police for an armed robbery in Chicago, you know what I mean? Like, at some point, you have to start taking you have to start taking responsibility for your own behaviors. Like, you need to start stepping up and start talking to your young black men that are coming up and be like, listen, this is not the way. You know what I mean? Because they're making it worse. They're getting themselves targeted because they're adopting a particular set of behaviors because they believe that's how they should behave because of the color of their skin. Because the federal government, the Democrats, incentivized single parenthood. So gangs are raising the young black men and women in inner cities, not their parents, because their parents are probably busy working.
It's like I had told Jason at one point, it's stereotyping.
It is stereotyping.
So for the stereotyping to stop, things need to change within their own communities.
They do. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I'm not trying to victim shame. You know what I mean? But I will tell you right now, I work with a 60-year-old black man at my job. And he will tell every one of these young African-American kids in the inner cities, they have no idea what real racism looks like. Because he lived it. You know what I mean? He was a young kid during the civil rights movement when Martin Luther King marched. You know, his mama lived through Jim Crow, the Jim Crow days and everything like that. Like, what they think they deal with today is not. Really, honestly, what they deal with today is a 100% generation by their own behaviors. Because if you go look at the data, I don't have it pulled up on my computer, but I have seen it before. First and second generation African immigrants to the United States report a significantly lower rate of racial discrimination than their percentage of the population. Yeah. Because they weren't fed a set of behaviors and a set of beliefs based off of being married to the federal government. Like the African Americans who live here in the United States, they came from another country. So they came from a totally different set of societal and social norms than what we have here in the United States. And they don't see the level of racism that the people who have been born here and have lived here for years see.
Now, if you want to say that there's like systemic racism, I can agree with you on that. And that stems from the fact that, just like he was talking about, being married to the government.
And having really poor leadership. Like, really, honestly. Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson. Like, they've got some... Maxine Waters.
They have their own issues to work through.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know...
Like, if... And it's not just on one side as far as if you want to go in with race. It's not just with race or anything. It's... If we're gonna make anything work, we've got to start with electing the right people. Well, number one, we need to stop with it. We really need to back the welfare state off, and we need to start dwindling down the welfare state until there is almost no welfare.
Yeah.
Except for the people who really, honestly, truly need it.
We believe under the ideal.
It should not be a full-time
it should be a
living
career
situation.
Yeah, essentially. It's a crutch, not a career.
And right now, in certain areas,
it's a career.
It's a full-time living situation.
And well, I mean, can you blame them when what you can get on welfare is better than what you can get working a full-time job?
Right. I mean, and we can get into that.
No, I can't because Because
It's,
then
it-
if
it's
you
not
do
really
that,
better.
it's not better.
I
because,
said I used to say that.
because then if you do that, then you're living in areas like the projects, and then those projects. No, people that live in these areas, they don't pay taxes. They don't pay
Property tax.
property taxes. So, and when you pay property taxes, your property taxes go to fund the schools in your area. Well, if you're not paying property taxes and the state's funding where you live, guess what? Your schools aren't getting funded. So if your school's not getting funded, then your schools you don't have the very good schools. And your kids aren't learning the greatest. So then they talk about how these inner city kids don't have the best education. Well, this is the problem. This is what needs to change.
Right.
So you need to get rid of the welfare state. You need to get these people off of welfare. Start helping these people. You can't just get rid of it completely, because then you'll throw these people for a loop. You'll throw anyone and everyone who is on welfare for a loop. They won't know what to do with their lives. So you have to start getting everyone who is on welfare help and getting them back into the workforce.
It's more than just welfare, though. Like, there's a lot of systems that need change.
Oh,
Welfare is
yeah.
one
Oh,
part
yeah.
of it.
Yes.
And I can agree with you.
Oh,
on
yes.
that.
Well, and see, here's the thing, and that's where school choice is so important. All right, you take all of the money that comes in across the entire state, and you start divvying out to the school systems based off of enrollment, so that all the schools across the state get properly funded. You know what I'm saying? And you allow it so that these inner city people, because see, like, for example, in Chicago, they don't have Chicago school buses like you and I rode when we were growing up. They don't have that. They use the public transit system.
Right.
They show their school ID, you know what I'm saying? And they get to ride the bus, the public transit bus. So any school in Chicago, the greater Chicagoland area, these kids could go to. It's just a matter of hopping on the bus. You know what I mean? So if in Illinois, which does not have school choice, if Illinois passed school choice, then these young African-American kids can start getting an education so that they can actually go out and get a job and do better than being on welfare. Now you've broken the cycle. The constant chain of these young African-American kids ending up back in the projects and living off of the government. You break that cycle, so the number of people on welfare starts to dwindle. And as that starts to come down, more funds become available. Now you can start taking those funds and putting them back into the African-American communities. And these people that are still on welfare, you start providing them job training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And helping them. Stop giving them a fish and start teaching them to fish.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Start utilizing the trades.
Yeah.
You know, the trades are what's going to be the best.
Yeah, but I can agree with that. Like, we got that lie fed to us. Go to college, get a degree. So many doors are going to open up for you.
It's an expensive piece of paper.
It is. Go for the, as someone who has $49,000 in debt, to be like, I understand people, but at the same time, I don't understand people.
Yeah.
Right.
Sociology. Anyway. Yeah, like
I watch people, but I have no idea what I'm looking at.
it's like, why do you do that? I like that. Explain it to me, because I don't know what
But,
it is.
you know,
Right.
But I mean, for me, I had to do about 5 years of school because there's a long story behind that.
Because school.
Yeah, because St. Joe closed, and then I had to
Because
essentially-
embezzlement.
Yeah. There's a whole topic we won't go into. That. 4 to 5 years later, I'm still pissed about that. But I had to do 5 years, and so yeah. But I wish when I was younger, people would have said do the trades, because trades get paid so much more than a college degree.
yeah,
And I'm going to be paying those student loans back the rest of my life.
yeah.
Well, and I mean, the biggest part about it is they perpetuate it really, to be quite honest with you, it wasn't always a lie. The go get a college degree and come out way better with a college degree wasn't always a lie, but it had been told for so long that now the market for people who have a college degree is hyper saturated.
It was true at the time when a full year of college was like $100.
You can thank Bill Clinton. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but instead of now like one credit hour being like $3,000,
Right.
like my one credit alone was more than a whole year worth of college, like back in the day.
What ended up happening is previously, before Bill Clinton, the policy was that the government automatically subsidized 80% of all college tuition, and the tuition that you did pay, that the student did pay, was 20%.
Yeah, but I also believe that
and it got
college
flipped.
tuition should be free, but that's just me. I know. I believe in free education.
I do too,
and free healthcare.
but the first thing that we were going to have to do in order to be able to do something like providing free education is stop the predatory nature of colleges. Because let's be honest, how many schools will take $100,000 from a kid and give them a degree that they know is absolutely worthless?
True.
You know what I mean? That's just not right. All right, you go to Harvard, you got $400,000 in debt, and you got a bachelor degree in formative dance. Like, why is that even a major?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't pay back your student debt. Oh, I can't imagine why. You have zero marketable skills.
Yeah.
You know a lot of information, but you can't do anything. So, until we fix that, free college is going to make us stupid. Because people are just going to go to school for dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our cousin. Has gone to school for over dumb stuff for 30 years. Like, he's a professional student.
And even then, he sucks at that.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to bring up any names or anything like that, but I mean, honestly, that's what's going to end up. That's what would end up happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's still going to be a cost incurred in going to school too.
That's like a super senior.
Yeah, you didn't say enough supers, but that's beside the point.
Duper duper.
Super duper like Officer Doopy. But anyway.
Oh my goodness.
You don't remember the movie Scary Movie?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. But have you seen my baseball? But yeah, so I mean, one of the first things that we're going to need to do is we're going to have to pass school choice. We got to get these kids an education. We've got to give them the best opportunity at getting an actual decent education because.
Yeah, I can get behind school choice. Like, as long as you can get yourself there and you do the work and you put in the time and effort,
it can be done.
Yeah.
And then the other thing about it is too is if I could get anybody out there in the African American community to absolutely listen to me, you don't need their help. They are perfectly capable of doing it. Like they don't like how racist do you got to be to believe that the only way that the African American community is going to get ahead is if you add your superior white voice to theirs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, stop it, Karen. They don't need your help. Shut up and get out of their way. Because they'll handle their business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need to stop telling them that they can. Because they can.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, it's just...
Well, and we need to, like I said, we need to stop allowing the government to get involved with things they don't need to be getting involved with.
Right. Because they screw up everything they touch.
They do.
They really do.
They're like Spencer from iCarly. Everything they touch just turns into flame somehow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, quite literally, look at Social Security.
Mm.
I mean, Social Security was a great idea. You know what I mean? It was originally instituted during a time period in which trying to
On
get...
paper.
Well, no. I mean, it was instituted in a time period where it was not easy to invest in the stock market.
Right.
Because it required a stockbroker and only the super rich could do it. And not having that opening the door to those investments in the stock market is what made us susceptible to the crash in the first place. You know what I mean? You had a very small group of people that owned all of the stocks. You know, well, they diversified that. That's broke up all across the country now. You know, I mean, you can go on your phone, Robinhood. You can get an app, Robinhood, you know, and start buying stocks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For free. You don't even pay a trade fee. You know?
Honestly, me buying stocks would be like Monica buying stocks. buying random stuff, and then be like, I'm so invested, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Like, I would go for the one that's my initials, JLM. Like, I'm up 3 points. I'm rocking it.
Right. Right, exactly. But no, like, but you can. I mean, we've got 401ks and Roth IRAs and all that kind of stuff, mutual funds and all these kind of things that you can invest in for your retirement now that was not available to the general public. And that's what Social Security was supposed to be about. We're going to take a small deduction out of your paycheck, and we're going to invest that for you. And then when you're ready to retire, you'll have something coming to you for retirement. You know what I mean?
Except by the time I retire, it's going to be poof.
Because the government runs it like their private little piggy bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like both times they impeached Donald Trump in the House, $40 million. Guess where that money came from?
Social Security.
Pelosi took it straight out of Social Security.
And what good it did, he still stayed in office.
Right.
Well, I mean, he didn't stay in office. I mean,
he got voted out, but...
Oh, yeah. But he wasn't...
And then we got this dumbass who can't...
That my
climb
brother voted for.
I did.
He did. Are you
can't climb
feeling
a
any
set of
buyer's
stairs.
remorse? Are you feeling any buyer's remorse from voting for Biden?
Not currently.
Not currently.
But we'll see where it goes.
It's not looking good.
It's really not.
Because I don't even I don't even want to make fun of the man, but I mean, like, seriously, I don't think he's with us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I see some like signs of like moderate dementia. Like he's not with us. It's not good.
But then
He
Kamala
seems-
Harris will take over and everything will be peachy.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right, I would just like to bring up this
Did you
particular
see her
little.
hyena laugh when she started talking about kids and schools and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm not entirely like I think she's got a serious issue too, because she totally laughs when laughter is like not necessary.
Well, some people just laugh
like-
in awkward situations.
A comic, like when the middle of a sentence is coming up,
Yes.
because that's what. Oh, here comes the middle of a sentence. You know, I mean, it gets to her. I will make fun of her. All
We're
right.
gonna see how this works. Oh, Kamala, how are you going to handle the Chinese invading the country? Well.
Yeah.
I have no. Oh Lord, have mercy. We are doomed.
We are doomed. we're doomed.
Oh man,
I would just like to throw this out.
I don't know. It's just
Let's just go live in Canada. They're already jealous of us anyway.
Right. But Norway doesn't want us.
yeah. Norway thinks we're underdeveloped, which I can't blame them. At this point, I mean, we're arguing over. We're arguing over who to cancel, whether instead of trying to deal with actual issues that need to be handled.
So one of the biggest things that BLM likes to point to as a form of systemic racism was the 1994 crime bill, which was the stop and frisk bill for African Americans. Okay,
Which, mind you, certain anti-gun moms, you know who I'm talking about,
yeah,
still support the stop and frisk.
yeah, they support stop and frisk. All right, which incarcerated thousands of young black men and provided for racial profiling. You know who wrote that bill? Joe Biden. You know who enforced that bill? Kamala Harris, as the District Attorney of California.
Oh, and that
She put thousands of young black men away under that bill.
and some of them for just like smoking marijuana, and then she went on radio and admitted that she smoked marijuana and laughed about it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh yeah, I put a bunch of people in jail for smoking marijuana, and then I smoked marijuana."
Yeah. Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's our biggest problem with the left.
Yeah,
That's the biggest problem that we have with the people on the left. Not you. You're a little different. you understand this concept.
I've always been a little different. Let's admit it.
Yeah. But no, generally speaking, the rule does not apply. Matt Getz. They're calling for his cancellation because of reports of him being involved with an underage girl inappropriately. How many counts are they currently up to for Andrew Cuomo, the Democrat? Yeah,
I've
like
lost count at this point.
Yeah. Like, let's be honest. The number of people he hasn't touched is probably shorter than the
Okay,
number of
but-
people he
Well, if
has.
you're going to go after that, you can go after Trump, too. Like,
Right.
there's court statements that have been released to the public about him paying off families so that he didn't go to court for it. Like,
You're talking about the ones from WikiLeaks?
I don't remember where it's from. But, I mean, Trump did the same thing. There may not be as many counts, but he did the same thing.
Well, so did JFK.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, nobody's perfect. But the ideal, the problem is consistency.
The thing is, okay,
If
well,
it's okay if one person does it, then it's okay if everybody does it.
see
But
now,
if it's wrong for one person to do it, then it doesn't matter their political party affiliation. It's wrong for all of them to do it, and they don't handle it that way.
but when it comes to an underage, okay, I don't care if you're left or if you're on the left or you're on the right. I don't care if you're, I don't care if you're left, if you're right, Republican, Democrat, if you're, alien, whatever. I don't care what you are. You could be a freaking purple people eater if you want to be. But once it starts involving children, underage, or like that, every single one of them that are in office right now need to resign because now, at this point, they were all acting like children.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's just overthrow our government.
There you go.
I mean, 100%. Like, we're in a position now where it's like it's bad.
Like y'all don't know. Number one, y'all have forgotten who you work for. Okay? Y'all have forgotten who you work for.
Yeah, the government's supposed to work for its people, not the other way around.
Right. And number two, now y'all just acting like children. And if you can't behave like an adult, then you need to let the adults take over. So maybe we just need to, maybe it's time to get up off our asses. On the last show, how many times do we have retail workers, customer service workers, or sales workers get told to their face, you don't know how to do your job? Well, maybe we need to tell our politicians to their faces they don't know how to do their job and go take over.
I
Well-
personally believe in an oligarchy, and I vote Julia Andrews as queen.
I'm not a big fan of that either. I mean, really, honestly, is democracy is a democratic republic the best way? Yes. Is it perfect? No. Like it's not everybody's going to be, but your odds are highest under a democratically elected republic. Like that's the best you're gonna get, and there's no real perfect system, and that's only because every other form of government just throws the door wide open for the exploitation of its people.
Well, my thing is right now we've got a government who is like, you can almost take it like parenting. Instead of being a parent, they're trying to be a friend. So you got a government who's, instead of trying to be an actual government, they're trying to play favorites and play, your best friend.
Yeah. Well, and
they're trying to play the best friend to all these kids who don't truly, these younger generations who don't truly, and I'm not talking about like you guys are in, I'm talking about the younger generations underneath us.
we're millennials. We're talking about, you're a millennial, I'm a zennial.
Yeah.
Who don't understand.
We're talking about like Gen Z.
what the hell they're getting themselves into. They think they know how they're going to run the country once it's their time.
Well, and I mean, the thing about it is
Lord have mercy on our souls.
I mean, this is the generation that communicates mainly in memes.
And TikTok.
right.
Yeah. Memes and TikTok.
Right.
I mean,
Don't knock
really?
TikTok because I have it.
Yeah, I've never jumped on board on the TikTok train at all whatsoever. I never did Vine, didn't do TikTok.
Nope.
I didn't do any of that.
I did both.
Facebook is about the extent of it.
I mean, the only thing that I have that I don't even think is even cool anymore, Snapchat, and that's only because I keep in touch with my kids that way.
Yeah, and it's only because our teenagers use it.
And then
But-
you got Instagram in the back, like, pay attention to me.
Right.
Yeah, that barely gets any love.
I mean, Instagram was great until
know,
Zuckerberg bought it and made it part of Facebook.
Instagram is the middle child fighting for
Yeah.
attention, but everyone forgets about it.
Well,
Right.
Twitter, I don't know. Twitter hardly gets any attention from me either.
Twitter is the new porn. That's all Twitter is. It's
Yeah.
become the new Tumblr for porn. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
I don't even pay attention to Twitter half the
Not that I
time
would
anymore.
know.
90% of Twitter is check out my OnlyFans.
Yeah. Or here, check out this child pornography. Yeah, that we have to keep trying to fight to keep off of Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because what's his face allows child porn to circulate.
Dorsey.
Yeah, Dorsey
Jack Dorsey.
allows child porn to circulate on his
Yeah, he's been
platform. How many
he's
times
been sued
Yeah.
like multiple times because he won't take shit down.
Mm.
I hope that kid wins.
Yeah. This kid was a minor. Was part of sex trafficking. There was videos of him going around on Twitter for
like shared-
for weeks
Shared
of
like
him
over
being
2,000 times.
sodomized on video as a minor. Yeah. And they wouldn't take it down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. We're gonna take a short break.
Okay.
I got like 2 30-second ads I'm gonna run real quick, and we'll be right back.
Cool.
Oh yeah, when we get back, I got an audio piece that I want to run for you. I want you to listen to this.
Are you a constitutionalist and fan of the Second Amendment? Then you need to listen to the American Gun Show, hosted by me, Jason Reed, the voice of freedom. We talk about laws, training, and everything in between. Find us on the Firearms Radio Network, iHeartRadio, and every podcast platform. The American Gun Show. Our rights, our fight. Jason Reeve, the host of the American Gun Show here, inviting you to listen to our new show, Current Pulse. Join myself, Mina May, Nick Messer, and Samantha Reeve as we discuss top stories, political hypocrisy, and even stories you might not have even heard about. It's an open discussion of facts, not fake news like CNN and MSNBC. Join us on the weekly podcast, Current Pulse, right here on Spreaker.com or your favorite podcast provider.
All right, folks. Thanks for sticking around for our little short obligatory ad break that we have in the middle of every show. Unfortunately, Joey needed to step away from the mic for just a moment. He's on his way back. Like we've talked about on several occasions, we're normal, everyday people. We're not in a sound studio or anything like that. We're sitting in my living room.
We don't get paid for these.
Sorry, I had to punny.
It happens. I mean, last time I checked, you're still a human being. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that...
Joke's on you. I'm Lizard Man in skin.
You're wearing an Edgar suit?
Yes.
Did you see that meme? That somebody, no, it wasn't a meme. It was a picture that somebody shared, and then somebody, it was like a Twitter thing. Somebody tweeted, have you seen, what's Aquaman, like his name?
Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Have you seen his,
The commercial where he takes everything off.
No, have you
Oh.
seen his bodyguards?
like I've seen that. Like, what are they gonna do?
Right.
He's Aquaman. They throw a bottle of water on him so he activates his powers.
I don't think his bodyguards do anything. They just throw bottles of water on him so it activates his
Just turned into a dolphin.
Okay, so that's one Vine that I do remember. Do you remember the Vine girl that could make the dolphin sound.
Yeah.
And she would just like randomly walk by people and make the sound and scare the piss out of them.
Yeah.
That's something I do remember. I miss her. That's back when the world was a better place. Nothing's been the same since Vine died.
And then Musically became TikTok.
Oh gosh, music.
Right. All right, but no, I was telling you. So we got onto the subject and we were talking about race and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you were taught. I know what you were taught. I had the same teachers you had. That's the benefit of being brothers. I know what you know.
That's a
Geeky.
strong ass cat.
Oh yeah, yeah. They can actually pull that door open and come out if they want to. But anyway, we were taught to be colorblind, that we should judge a person by the content of the character, not the color of their skin, right?
Mm.
Like if we wanted to eradicate racism, that's what we needed to do. We needed to stop looking at skin color, right? Hey. Anyway, so listen. This is an audio piece from Loudoun County Public School System. All right, which is in Loudoun County, Virginia.
Is this what you played the other night?
Yeah.
Okay.
The story behind this picture. I'd rather hold on to that. Just tell me what this seems to be a picture of.
It's just two people chilling.
Right, just two people. There's nothing more to this picture.
Nah, not really. Just two people chilling.
I don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you look at this as just two people. I don't think
Truly
you
is
can look
just
at
two
this as
people,
just
though,
two
is it
people.
not?
That's the picture.
Yeah, but I think you're being intentionally coy about what this is a picture of.
What are you being coy about? It's two people standing back to back in a picture.
Yeah, and that's all you see is two people.
I'm confused on what you would like me to speak on in that
I
sense.
don't think you are. I don't know why you do this. I'm not trying to call you out, but you come out off of mute to talk about what this is a picture of, and you act as if there's nothing noticeable about this apart from the fact that they're two people.
Well, I'm confused. Are you trying to get me to say that there are two different races in this picture?
Yes,
is that
I
what
am
you
asking
want
you
me
to
to
say
say?
that.
Well, at the end of the day, wouldn't that just be feeding into the problem of looking at race instead of just acknowledging them as two normal people?
No, it's not, because you can't look at the people and not acknowledge that there are racial differences, right?
But if we're going for, let's say if we're looking for equality within all of this, then why would we need to point out things such as that?
Because those differences are real things. You can't.
Okay, that's critical race theory.
Okay.
That's what they're teaching. That's what they're teaching kids in school. That was a teacher teaching a student about critical race theory, supported by BLM. Welcome to the Libertarian Party. Because that's absolutely insane. That's like absolutely the exact opposite of how you destroy racism. That's how you generate it.
You're right. Yeah, like he was saying, like it's two people. Like yes, it's noticeable that they were two different races. I mean, just by sight alone, you can see that.
Right.
But you don't have to say that's a white woman and a black woman. You can just say, like he said, that's two people.
You want to know?
Do you want me to throw you for a loop?
I was gonna say, you want to know something interesting about those two women?
They're twin sisters.
I was about to say they're like sisters or something, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're twin sisters.
Hmm.
Their mom is black and their dad was white. They're fraternal twins.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
But and I think that's just an example of like the teacher was intentionally race baiting.
Mm-hmm.
Like he like kind of how we got you in a aha moment over that. I think that's what the teacher was going for. He was wanting.
I know. I
somebody
saw
to
your face. You're sitting there going, "What the hell? Why? Why is he pushing this issue? Like, why
Right.
is this teacher pushing this issue?" You kept having that look on your face, like after you saw the picture, you're like, "Okay, yeah, it's just two people chilling."
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's really ridiculous. And you understand that that's completely counterintuitive to defeating racism. You know what I mean? Ben Shapiro. I know a lot of people on the left side of the aisle don't like Ben Shapiro. Okay, but let's be honest. Are we any more racist today than we were in 1960? And if we are, how in the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that we're more racist. I just think it's being observed more and it's not being tolerated as much. Everyone is still at the same level of racist, but it's now people are being like, hey, that's not okay. People are more willing to point it out and call you on it than they were back then.
But is it really racism?
I mean, if you're intentionally demeaning or demoralizing someone based on the color of their skin or treating them differently, yes, that's racism.
Okay. Well, I would tell you that all too often African American people are treated differently by white people. And you know why? Fear. Fear of being called a racist.
So you're saying they're going to treat them better in fear of being called racist? Like they're going to go out of their way to like be nicer to them? Is that what you're saying?
Or just avoid them altogether.
I was say I don't go out of my way to be nice to anybody.
Right, but I mean,
they
avoid the situation altogether. I will tell you that every time I have a conversation with someone who is black that I don't personally know, I am constantly worried that I may say something that's going to piss them off and not know it. How is that fair?
I don't have the same issue though. Like
I'm
don't
more
have...
terrified to talk to somebody who is black and afraid to make them angry. I'm more afraid of that than I am to talk to another white person.
See, I'm not though. I don't have that kind of fear
because I don't know. Because I was taught to see them as just another person. Okay, so I don't look at things through the lens of racism at all whatsoever. So something can come. So I don't know if anything that comes out of my mouth they consider racist or not. I don't know.
Then that tells me that you're aware that you've made racist remarks in the past, and that you're capable of doing it again. I'm not saying that's what's happened, but that's just what it's saying to me. It's like you have a potential idea of what could be racist or like deemed as racist or offensive, and you fear of saying that.
No. I understand the fact that being offended is subjective, not objective. I have no control over whether or not you're offended. But I will tell you the punishment for offending somebody who is black when you are a white person is way worse than if you just offend another white person.
Right.
Well, then it's also on them to be like, hey, that to me that's racist and I don't like that. That also comes back on them to tell you.
And I would be perfectly acceptable of that.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's like if someone mistakes or oversteps and says something, it's your responsibility to be like, hey, I want to point this out to you to show you how this came across because you may not realize it. And they could have taken it that way. And then like it all comes down to having a civil conversation with each other.
Right.
But all too often you can't.
There are some times where you can because the situation escalates further than where it needs to be. Like
right.
It's on both parties. Like if something gets said or misconstrued, the other person needs to come at you and be like, just hey, I want you to know this happened.
Right.
They don't need to go from 0 to 60 real quick. Which
well,
I understand
you do
that
have
does
some.
happen.
Yeah, you do have some people who go from 0 to 60.
Jack's Warehouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just have to kind of de-escalate the situation and just be the bigger person out of the whole situation. Where he feels like he's scared to talk to African Americans or I'm sorry, I'm not gonna. He's scared to talk to black people a certain way. I'm not. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna talk to a black person. I'm gonna talk to everybody the same way I'm talking right now. If you don't like the fact, I say stupid shit sometimes, like, for Pete's sake, I say, heaven forbid, and all that. I don't know. I don't say anything that I know of that's ever been racist, except for I don't believe in white privilege, and apparently people think that's racist.
But see, that's that subjective point of view versus that objective point of view.
Mm-hmm. And if it hurts your feelings that that's how I feel, like I'm allowed to feel a certain way. Just like you are allowed to feel a certain way. We're allowed to have a debate. We're allowed to have a disagreement.
But I'm not responsible for your feelings.
And I'm not responsible for your actions. So if you start acting like a dumbass, and you can't control your actions, and you can't control your feelings, and you can't control the way you run your mouth, you know, kind of like Jack's Warehouse, then I'm sorry. If I can somehow manage to control my emotions and control my feelings and not get heated in a situation that probably would have gotten heated with anybody else. I mean, you should be able to do that too. If I can do that, you can do that.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Like, part of the concern that I have in communications with African American people is also driven by the fact that I've watched them have a normal conversation with me, and then the minute another black person walks up, their behaviors completely change. The interaction is completely and totally different between the two of them than it is between myself and them. Like, it's completely different. Because the person that I was communicating with, that tells me they obviously subscribe to the ideal that they need to adopt one particular set of behaviors when they are talking to a white man, and a completely different set of behaviors when they're talking to a black man.
I mean, it could possibly be that, but it could also be the relationship you have with that person. I'm a totally different person around different people. Like, I can talk to you about certain things and act a certain way with you, but when I'm out with my friends, I'm going to be a completely different person. Like, they're going to see a different side of me than you see of me. It all depends on the relationship you have with the person.
I tell this to my son all the time. I explain this to my son all the time.
Yeah, because, like, when I'm talking with you,
my kid literally come up and ask me, do you think I have multiple personality disorder? No, you're going to act different around different people.
Yeah.
You're going to act different with me. You're going to act different with your dad. You're going to definitely act different than Lex with your sister. Yeah. You're going to act different with your friends. You know. Yeah. That's just the way he acts with his friends on his games.
Right. But it goes beyond that, is what I'm saying. Like, I understand that exists. Like, there's going to be some differentiation to it. But I'm talking about it goes beyond that level of differentiation.
What do you mean? So you're talking about... What are you talking about?
Like for example, I've had situations where I have a complete and total normal conversation, like we're having right here, right now. Okay. All right, maybe not so much in depth, but having a normal conversation, and for lack of a better way of being able to describe it, I'll be honest, another black man walks up and the hood comes out.
Okay.
What you're talking about reminds me of a scene from a movie. Did you ever see the movie with Steve Martin and Queen Latifah bringing down the house?
But maybe when I was way younger.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so there's one part where she's really smart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Queen Latifah, her character, she went to
I love her, by the way.
Yeah,
she's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, she went to jail for a crime she didn't commit.
Right.
And so she's talking to Steve Martin, for his character, for legal help. Mm-hmm. And she's in his office, and she's using what you call, like, hood lingo. And he's like, what the hell did you even just say? I don't understand the word you're saying. He's like, why can't you just talk normal? And she's like, what do you mean normal? You want me to sit here like a white suburban mom and be like, oh, I love what you've done with this space. It looks so great. Like, nah, I ain't about that shit. and like, that's what she's talking about. Like, one line in the movie, she's like, well, let's go crack that dough. I bounce it off the easy and, like, whatever. And he's like, did you just say?
Right.
And, like, is that what you're talking about? Like,
yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because my belief is, and that bothers me when people act like that, because that bothers me, because so which one is the real you?
But see, that
shouldn't bother you, though.
That's the thing. Both of them are the real him.
Okay,
Right.
and I understand that. So then, where is the issue? If both are really the real you, all right, then why does only one person see that such a different swing from that than I do?
It's just the
Okay,
relationship.
hold on. So let me ask you a quick question.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. Hold on. Let me ask you a quick question. So you're telling me that you
Just say it. It's open forum. You're not going to make me angry. Come on, say
no,
it.
but you behave differently with your parents when you are with your parents than you do with any of your friends.
I completely and totally understand that. That's what I totally understand that. But I will tell you right now, the only time my behaviors change is with my parents.
Well, then I don't know.
Everybody
I'm a
else who
different-
knows me sees the same person, because I'm going to be me. And the only reason why I am not me around my parents is because they can't handle it. And out of respect of the only time I really generally see my parents is in their own home.
Okay, I don't know about that, because I have some friends who I know I have to be a little bit more reserved around. You know, kind of just be a little bit more reserved. There's other friends that I can be a little bit more laid back around, and there's friends that I can be completely wilding out.
Yeah, it just all depends on the nature of the relationship. I mean, great for you for being able to be yourself around other people, but like, I mean, I'll give a specific example. Like with you,
Now, don't get me wrong, I still have the same attitude.
Right.
And I still talk the same way. And I'll still, tell you to your face, you're a bitch if you piss me off. But I just act differently in different situations with different friends.
Yeah. Like, I'll give a specific example. Like, when I'm with you, I'm not going to lie, I'll act more masculine.
You don't have to.
I mean, I know I don't have to, but I do. That's just what I do. But
Do you act more girly with me?
no, not you.
Damn!
But like when I'm with my friends, I'll refer to myself be like, she's thirsty. Like when I'm talking like I'm horny or something, like I'll refer to myself as a she. But like I don't do that with you, because like that's just who I am around you. I'm not that, like, it's just a different type of relationship.
Yeah.
So like, why? Like if I don't feel like I can be the real me around somebody, then I'm not going to be around them. Period. That's how deeply ingrained in the ideal that I don't subscribe to societal norms based on gender,
but it's not,
race,
you don't
all that
feel,
kind of stuff.
It's not necessarily that you don't feel like that you're not the real you around that person.
I mean, because sometimes
I
can be both. Like I'll be he, I'll be she. I'll be like, I don't give a fuck what I am today.
I am me. Take it or leave it.
Anyway.
But you understand what? But I mean, does that make sense? I am who I am. Take it or leave it. Whether you like it or don't is not my responsibility to handle.
Yeah.
I don't.
And I mean, that's great that you can do that. Not everyone does that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
But I'm saying the inability of being able to do that does generate issues, society-wise, like social interaction that causes problems within social interaction.
I don't know.
And that's because our society it programs children at a young age that you should subscribe to a particular set of behaviors based off of sex, skin color, and all that kind of stuff. Like there are these paradigms out here in our society basically, girls play with dolls and boys play with trucks, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that causes a problem. I mean, that's a serious problem in our society. It's hard to look at somebody as another human being as long as we have this thought process in our mind that they should have to behave according to a certain set of behaviors based off of some sort of physical characteristic.
The society's been trying to cancel that for years. Like, look at how long ago did those shirts come out? Real men wear pink. Like, we've been after this for years, trying
Right.
to destroy gender norms and stuff like that.
Right, but yet we still have people out there trying to put it all back.
Because it's the older generations instilling that in their younger ones. As long as there's people around who still believe in that and are teaching that, it's never going to go away.
Right, but this idea, this critical race theory, is blowing up across the countries and schools all across the country. So now we're programming, but we're going back to
That's why I
programming
like
our
the new
children.
shirts. They don't say real men wear pink. It says real advocates wear pink.
Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I can tolerate most people. I can't tolerate somebody that thinks they need to behave a certain way, that they have to behave a certain way around me.
I don't know.
Like, be you. Like, I understand that there are going to be things about another
See, the thing is,
that,
it's like,
that I may not
like I was
like or agree
explaining,
with.
Is I don't change my personality. I just change how, I guess, hyper I can be. Some friends are a little bit more laid back, so when it comes to hanging out with them, it's just a relaxing day. Other
I
friends,
mean, yeah, you're talking about energy level,
right?
but at your core,
I don't change.
your personality doesn't change.
No,
But for a lot of people, it does. That's what I'm talking about in that particular situation.
And you know
Their
what?
whole personality changed. They became a different person
yes.
when another black person walked
My
up.
son is one of them. My son is one of them people who does if he's with one friend, he acts one way. If he's with another friend, he acts a completely different way.
Well, and I get that because he's an adolescent boy and he's still trying to discover where he fits in the world. You know,
What does that have to do with anything?
because I'm talking about a grown man.
I know grown men who act this way.
I do too. And I'm saying
So
that
I don't understand why you feel like you need to be upset about it or offended over it when you shouldn't be.
because
Just be happy that you have someone who, if this person acts a certain way around you, then, oh, great. They act a certain way around you. But they have somebody else that they feel comfortable with that they can act a different way around.
Okay, so I guess you guys didn't follow me at all. I didn't explain it very well, and I do apologize for that.
I don't, yeah, I'm not.
Because you guys have gone from where my point was.
We just don't went left.
Apparently,
Yeah, you
because,
guys got up and left.
apparently, because I feel like, well, I mean, I don't, from what you started talking about and how you started explaining it, it's like as if you were upset or mad or offended at the fact that this person acted a different way around you than they did another person, and you shouldn't be, because that's how many people are. I mean,
Like, are you trying to say that, it's going to sound horrible me paraphrasing it this way, he acted more white with you, but as soon as another black guy walked up, he acted more black with him?
Right.
That's what he's saying.
so I don't understand what the difference is.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Okay. So why? Because I have to be careful what I say around him because it might be construed as racist.
Okay.
But he can go ahead and placate the white man with a particular set of behaviors and then act completely different with another black man.
I don't care what people do.
And that's
Be
not
you,
racist.
do you. I don't give a shit what
And
you
that's
do.
my point. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Well,
He's trying to say that he shouldn't act white around Nick. He should be able to feel his full blackness around Nick.
If he wants to embrace let me say this. Let me say this.
I don't know. For me,
If
I don't.
if how he acted with a black man is the way that he wants to be, that's where then
He
he
should
can
feel free to do that with you.
right. And if how he acted with me is how he actually wants to be, then he doesn't need to surround himself with people that make him feel like he can't be that. You understand? Because all too often, if a African American person acts white, what happens? They're ostracized by their own community. They're called an Uncle Tom and a porch monkey and a coon and all this other different stuff. You know what I'm saying? So all too often, they don't be who they want to be. They subscribe to the behaviors that they are expected to perform because of the color of their skin. Because it ain't black enough.
Again, if they feel like that's what they need to do, or if somebody feels like that's what they need to do, I'm sorry.
I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that you're never going to be able to eradicate racism amongst the quote-unquote white people until you eradicate your own racism amongst yourselves.
I don't know.
Does that make sense?
You act the way you want to act around
Right.
me. And I'm sorry if you don't feel that you can't act yourself, because I don't ever pretend to be somebody else. I'm sorry. I'm so I don't change I change my energy level for different friends, because I know some of my friends need that different energy level.
Well, and some people need a different energy level day by day too. I'm talking about something deeper and more at the core. I'm not talking about something on the surface. I'm talking about a core set of behaviors.
I think what he's also talking about is that he's trying to think of what have I done to make him think he has to act like that way with me when he doesn't need to.
Right.
That's what he's trying to get at. It's like, what have I done to make you believe?
But that's the thing. I shouldn't have to be thinking that. If I'm not going to sit here and berate myself on what did I do, because I
totally 100% understand exactly what you're coming from, where you're coming from, but I could lose my fucking job over that very attitude.
Over what?
If that black man is acting the way he's acting around me because he feels like I'm going to discriminate against him in some way, shape, or form, he can march his happy ass right into the HR office and tell HR that's how he feels, and I lose my job. But I can't do the same thing to him. But I'm the one that has the privilege.
Okay.
This is how you asked about what about white privilege. All right. If a young man is half black and half white, which race does he identify as?
He identifies as both because that's what he is.
I would, but which one do they normally put? Which heritage do they normally claim?
Whichever one they feel closest to.
Whichever one gives them the most benefit, which is usually black. Most half black and half white mulattoes. Most people who are mulatto. I mean, is that an offensive term to use that?
I myself wouldn't use that. I would just say biracial.
Okay, so most people who are biracial, all right, because I really don't want to offend anybody, because I'm not trying to say it to be offensive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Why is everybody always so trying to be so nice all the time?
Well, I'm not necessarily trying to hurt somebody's feelings. You know what I mean? Like,
The world don't care about your feelings.
no, the facts don't care about your feelings.
The world apparently don't care about your feelings either.
You know what I'm saying?
So this going to hell in heaven.
But generally speaking, biracial people, they identify with their black culture, not their white one, because they get more benefit out of their black culture, not their white one.
I have no idea. All I know is...
But yet there's, like, I understand what you're saying about, like, racial profiling and so on and so forth, Joey. Like, I get that 100%. But that's also generated by a set of behaviors that they've adopted. You know what I mean? Look at the crime statistics. You know? Generally speaking, I will tell you this right now, generally speaking, African-American people don't get pulled over for being suspected of being drunk. You know how many times I've been pulled over for being suspected of being drunk? Right here in this town.
Were you also tired and drifting over the line?
Yes. Was I drunk? No. Absolutely not. But it's happened quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I got pulled over for that. Yeah, like when I used to work nights and drove to Delphi,
Right.
I drift over the line because I'm tired as hell.
And you wanted to, and I'll be honest and
I
truthful
don't
with
miss
you.
that drive at all.
And I'll be honest and truthful with you, Joey. It hasn't happened since I've got nicer vehicles. But when I had the shit boxes that I used to drive all the time, it happened all the time. Because who drives shit boxes and drifts over the line at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Drug dealers.
Drunk white people. Because
Yeah, no.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, drunk white people. Because I'll be honest with you, if you look at the statistics, black people do not drink and get behind the wheel of a car. They don't. There is an absolute disparity. There. African American people are constitute roughly 27% of the people that are incarcerated, but they only account for like 14% of the people who are in jail for drinking and driving. There are a lot of white people in jail for drinking and driving.
Dumbasses.
Drinking
and driving. Dumbasses.
White people drink and drive and they rape people. But yeah, but man, he can't have a drink.
I'm still mad about that. How long has that happened?
Yeah, and I'm still angry about it too.
That had to happen like at least 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
at like Christmas time. Oh yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like the way that got handled in that particular situation. Me, Joey, and our sister were made to feel like pieces of crap
for no reason.
for no reason. And I've still yet to receive an apology for it.
Well, no, you're not going to.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Because she's always the victim.
Right.
Ooh, I went off on her one time for that. I was like, yeah, play the victim card like you
Right.
always do because you're never wrong about anything.
Right.
People always come after you when you're the one who instigated the shit.
Right.
And as soon as someone turns around and is like, no, it's like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Right. Right. Well, and then her brother.
Okay, family. No. Family drama off.
No. We got to bring this one. We got to bring this one up. And he's the exact opposite. Like he bites every time.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody tries to instigate something, he's like. Have you seen that? Have you seen that meme with the two guys and they got the coat hangers and they're like.
Yeah.
and he's like.
Yeah.
That's the brother. Like he knows exactly where it's going to end up, and he goes anyway. I had to bring that up. I'm sorry. So one more quick thing we're going to talk about here a little bit. We were talking earlier about like censorship from like Twitter and Google and Facebook and everything like that. Do you think that the media companies like Twitter, Facebook, and Parler or anything like that, do you think they have a right to censor people and what they post?
I think there's different degrees of censorship. Like, if it's deliberately calling for violence against someone or a specific group of people, then yes, that'd be like considered hate speech. But if you're just kind of voicing your opinion on a general subject, no, I don't think so. I think there's a very fine line that you can tiptoe when it comes to censorship on different things. And it's very hard to see that line. Like, it is hair thin.
Okay.
It's really hard to not. It's really hard not to partake in the censorship while not infringing on the free speech.
Right.
So,
Okay, so do you think that Facebook and Twitter have a duty and obligation to do this?
no. They don't need to be.
Okay, no. I'm asking Joey.
Okay.
Do you think they have a duty and obligation to censor the people who operate on their platform?
it's so hard to say, just because that line is so thin. Like, it's hard to be able to say, no, that's not allowed. And other times it's just like, you're getting really close.
Okay, so have you heard about Section 230?
No.
Okay, I can't remember off the top of my head what bill it came out of. It's like a Freedom of Information Act or something like that. But essentially, Twitter and Facebook are protected by Section 230 in so much that they are a platform and a facilitator. They are not responsible for what their users of their platform say or do using their platform. Okay? Meaning, if, technically speaking, if I planned a protest and riot on Facebook, all right, Facebook cannot be directly targeted by those seeking damages from said protest and riot that I created. They could not seek damages from Facebook for allowing it to happen. They're protected under Section 230. They are simply a facilitator and a platform. They are not a publisher. So they are not liable, essentially. They have no liability for what their users use their platform for. Okay? Do you still think they have a duty to censor anybody for any reason at all whatsoever? I'm not saying morally. I'm saying legally speaking, because we can't legislate morality.
I mean, if you're going to go legally, then no, because it's essentially freedom of speech.
Right. Until somebody actually does something that breaks the law.
Right. Then, I guess, no, that's not really any of their business.
But they do it every day. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point that I was trying to make. It's none of their business because they're protected by Section 230. They have zero skin in the game other than somebody used your platform to do it. So why are you so there's no point in censorship?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I see where you're going, because I had a comment of mine taken down because I said in a joke, I was like, all men are trash.
Right.
And my comment got taken down, and I got put on warning. It's like, if you make another hate speech comment, your account will be banned. I was like, it was a joke. Like, there was a laughing, smiling emoji in it.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's completely taken 100% completely out of context.
And let's be honest, men are trash to begin with, so. I can say that. I'm a man.
And he's a man.
I freaking hate white people. I really do.
Like when I'm hanging out with friends and I see people like riding on Segways, I'm like, that's some white people shit. And they look at me, I was like, I can say it, I'm white.
Right. But see, here's the difference. My black friends could say that's some white people shit, and I would not be offended. You're right, that is some white people shit. You will not catch me on one.
Or like trying to redo a high five because the first one wasn't good enough.
Okay, that's some white people shit I do. That's like for real. We've been doing high fives since we were like what?
5.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm 40. I've been doing these things for 35 years. We should be able to get this right on the first try.
And when everyone says, look at the elbows.
Yeah, it works every time. I have no idea why.
Anyway, she's got the look on her face like, that's some dumbass white people shit.
Yeah. Well, that's more like some that's like some dad shit. Hi, hungry. I'm dad.
I'm not even a dad, and I say that stuff all the time.
Right. Your friends will be like, man, I'm starving. Hi, starving. I'm Joey.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Every opportunity that I get. My own son hit me with one day.
My, how the turntables.
You mean mind how the tables have turned?
You're not an Office fan, are you?
No, I've never really watched The Office.
That's the whole thing. Michael Scott goes, "My, how the turntables." You're like, don't you mean how the tables have turned? No, it's how the turntables.
No! That's about the only thing that I know. Yeah, that scene.
Yeah.
Right. But, have you seen my table? It's a red swing line.
It's a completely different show.
Still about an office, though.
Anywho.
No, but yeah, we got way off into left field on that one. My bad. So yeah,
Censorship.
yeah. Well, and I mean that's like Faith, the guy that
You were gonna tell him what your son hit you with.
Oh yeah. So when does a dad joke become a dad joke?
When it becomes apparent.
Yes.
There's not too many jokes you can say that I don't know.
Yeah, well, he said he said that at the dinner table one night, like right after Christmas. Should I tell the whole story?
Maybe you can tell me personally off air.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you that later. I'll tell you that later. So let's see here. Where are we at on time? Okay, we got about 15 minutes. Did you hear about the attack on the Capitol again? Again.
No. I'm still pissed about the first one. But that's a whole divergent story.
Okay, so you just said we needed to overthrow our government, but you're mad about those people.
I'm not mad at those people. I'm mad at they were just allowed to walk in.
Okay, so you seen the hypocrisy in the whole deal.
Yes. I'm
Okay.
mad at the hypocrisy.
It's like, oh, you want to storm our Capitol with guns? Let me just open the gate and allow you to walk in. Let me take pictures with you because this is so cool. Whereas if you saw any African person that was white doing that, they would have been gunned on that.
Happened before, and people have not been shot. And nobody who was inside the Capitol building, I mean, let's be honest, that QAnon shaman guy, his outfit was probably threatening and dangerous because of how atrocious it was. But
Is it sad to say I was slightly turned on by it?
I mean, maybe in an animalistic sort of way, like a basic instinct type thing.
Like, I knew that he could throw me against a wall and I would be okay with it because I'd be like, damn.
He lives in his mom's basement, though.
Oh, that just ruined everything.
Yeah, like he could play the part really well, but like
Yeah, why gotta be
It was-
basement?
it was just all an act. But yeah, nobody in that building was armed.
Mm-mm.
Nobody. But a 14-year veteran of the United States Air Force was killed. Mind you, right in front of a SWAT team. There was a SWAT team there from Capitol Police, not 3 feet behind her. I saw the video. And Capitol Police inside the building at a range that they were absolutely 100% safe, shot her and killed her in a panic. All right. Now, can you imagine? Now, think about this.
I mean, maybe don't put yourself in threatening positions.
Okay. So what about the black man that was chasing that female police officer down with a knife? She got fired because she shot a black man that was chasing her down with a knife with the body cam footage. BLM showed up at her house and threw bricks through her window.
Again, I don't know the story.
Yeah. It was in Philadelphia. That has happened all across the country. Like this was a white woman who was a Trump supporter, got killed. She shouldn't have been in a dangerous situation. All right. Michael Brown physically beating the piss out of a police officer and trying to take his firearm, gets shot and killed by said police officer in self-defense. And they burn the city down.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? The instant it's a person of color, and it's an atrocity. But if they're a white Trump supporter, well, I guess they shouldn't have been in a dangerous situation. You know what I mean? So anyway, a Capitol police officer was killed. A black man who worshipped Louis Farrakhan as the Messiah.
You know who that is.
Google it real quick. And thought that Malcolm X was his hero. Took his car and ran down some Capitol police officers, killing one of them and injuring the other. And got out of his car with his knife and was attempting to start stabbing people before the police officers shot him and killed him. And they absolutely do not discuss it at all on legacy media.
Okay, so looking it up, it says Louis Farrakhan heads the Nation of Islam, a group he has led since 1977, and that is based on a somewhat bizarre and fundamentally anti-white theology.
Imagine that. Did you just hear what that said?
An anti-white theology.
Oh, anti-white?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he leads a group called the Nation of Islam, and it's an anti-white theology group.
Yeah. And once all this information came out, Facebook immediately scrubbed his profile so nobody else could see any of this information, and it couldn't get out onto the media. And the media killed the story instantaneously.
Just reading one of his quotes. It says, "The Jews don't like Farrakhan, so they call me Hitler."
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
Right. Where was that at? Was it what was I can't remember the Asian woman that got beat up. Do you remember where that was at? Was out in front of a hotel. The security guards walked over and just closed the door. Guy walks. It was all caught on camera. A black guy. Church.
Why did he beat her up?
Because it was a hate crime. It was an anti-Asian hate crime.
Was it like because of coronavirus and people are targeting the Asian community for it?
Well, I don't know why he was specifically targeting Asian people, but the media said it was because of white supremacy.
So it's going to be one of those things like you're going to blame everything on white supremacy,
Yes.
just like the Democrats blame everything on Trump.
Right.
So you honestly cannot take any responsibility for yourselves for your own actions. You got to blame it on white supremacy.
That's
We got to blame it on
a
Trump.
black man beats up an Asian woman, and it's white supremacy's fault.
Mm-hmm. And you wonder why there's stereotypes. You wonder why you're stereotyped. It's not white privilege. It's stereotypes.
I mean, you're not necessarily wrong. It's a stereotypes, racial profiling, same diff.
Hey, why'd you commit this crime? Because it's white privilege. Hey, why'd you kill this person? Because it's white privilege.
That's not what white privilege is.
constantly perpetuating this idea that somebody is out to get you because of the color of your skin, when like 95% of the population could give a flying fuck what the color of your skin is not helpful to anyone.
Well, I don't know, because if somebody walks past me and they're purple, I'm going to kind of question that one.
If somebody walks by me and they're purple, I'm going to start seeking some way of getting them some oxygen, because that's the color you turn when you don't breathe.
Yeah.
If you're purple and walking towards me, I'm assuming you're a zombie and you're going to go pew pew.
Right.
I mean,
But, I mean, if you want to go off that kind of statement, then what about all the people who are like the extreme mangas and was like out doing things because they believe Trump was telling them to do that?
then those people are about as dumb as box of rocks.
Yeah.
You do have, we do have far left and alt right. You do have some crazy asses out there.
But like, I have never sat here in this chair on this show and said Donald Trump was the greatest president we've ever had.
He's far from it.
Well, number one, our system of government is supposed to technically work in such a fact that we never have a greatest president ever. Like, that's not how our governmental system is set up as it is anyway.
I mean, he did a good job in certain areas.
In certain areas, he did. The fact that he's a prick and he's really hard-nosed worked really well against, like, North Korea.
He couldn't keep his ass off of Twitter. That was one of the biggest
Oh,
issues.
God, he just needed to shut up.
Just like, yeah. It's like,
And if I hear the word tremendous one more time.
yes. Or no, what was it? And it wasn't tremendous. It was fantastic or something like that.
No, it was tremendous.
What did he say tremendous a lot?
Oh, my goodness.
He used tremendous like a comma. He used tremendous like I use the F word. I mean, it was bad. Like, it was annoyingly bad. But I mean, in the same turn of events, it's like, okay, he's not actually a politician. Like, see, that was one of the things that made a lot of people try to like, it was hard for people to stomach, was that he wasn't being a politician. He was being a businessman.
I would say, as far as a businessman, he did good in that aspect. But as far as someone to run a country, as far as someone to be the president, not very good people. I mean,
he perpetuated the whole xenophobic thing around the coronavirus. No, he did. He was like the Chinese virus. Why do I call it that? Because it came from China. Like,
well, I mean, that's where it came from.
I mean, yes, but because of him doing that, that's what started a whole bunch of hate crimes against Asian people in America.
I don't hate Asian people.
That's not his problem.
He perpetuated it, so yes, it kind of is his problem.
How's it his problem? Did he say go beat up Chinese people because they caused the problem in the United States?
He did because people listened to him.
So because we have the Spanish flu, we should go beat up. Because we have the Spanish flu, we should go beat up people from Spain.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, that's the thing. Is there are people who think that way. There are people who think that because it came from China, we need to attack all these Chinese people. No. Not everybody thinks that way.
I'm not saying not everyone. I didn't say
And just
everyone
because-
thinks that way. I'm saying a lot of people.
But
thought
this
that.
virus did come from China, and it came from China. The reason why
It's a mutation of the SARS virus that's been plaguing China for years.
that they were fucking around with, and they shouldn't have been messing around with it, and they let it out.
Or it got out. One of the two. I mean, accidents happen.
I'm sorry.
This is a result of what things happen when mankind tries to play God. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so granted, yes, it was an accident, and yes, it did originate from China, but because of him perpetuating such negativity around it, hate crimes against Asian people spiked.
Okay, but we
But
can't.
he wasn't doing anything to stop it either. That's what I'm saying.
You didn't hear anything about hate crimes
Like he did.
against Asian people for months and months. Until what? After he was out of office?
No, there was
during.
But I mean,
The way he connotated his phrasings around the coronavirus,
did not help.
It wasn't just him. I could probably look up right now every single whatever CNN, ABC, whatever you want to call them. They all did it too. They went and copied it.
Yeah,
the
but
Wuhan virus.
But they're
the
not
Chinese
the leader
virus.
of the free world. You have a responsibility. Like, it's like political correct. Is that what it is? PC. Yeah, PC.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to be like super PC, but at the same time, like, don't say things that's going to perpetuate hate. And that's what
they don't even want us calling it the coronavirus.
Who they?
China. They don't want us calling it. They don't even want us calling it the coronavirus. We're supposed to refer to it as COVID.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't see what that issue is, but
it's the coronavirus that originated in Wuhan.
Yeah,
it's from China.
Yeah,
but like
he did call it the Chinese virus once. He did.
Yeah,
I seen where he said that on TV. But every other time after that, he called it the China virus, not the Chinese virus. Call it the China virus, the same way of the German measles and the Zika virus.
And Spanish flu.
West Nile virus. Like, they tend to name these viruses off of the area. Because the Zika virus is from the Zika Valley in Africa. West Nile, obviously, from the west bank of the Nile River. Like, where these diseases originated at is generally the common name they get called.
I mean, I get that.
And all of a sudden now, because it's China, it's offensive.
But I'm not responsible, whether I'm the leader of a free world or not. I'm not responsible. You cannot scapegoat me because somebody else decides to go do something evil to somebody else. But that person is responsible for that.
But people were doing it and saying it was in the name of Trump. That's where the issue comes in. Because
well, then that's when Trump should have denounced those people.
See, yeah, and he never did.
He did that. He denounced the violence, but the violence, but he never denounced anyone publicly. He wasn't going to give them the publicity of having their name come out of their mouth.
He didn't need to give them their name. He just been like, "That's not what I said. This is not what you should be doing." And then he never came out and said, like, "Stop the violence against Asian people. Like, it's not their fault. Like, the ones that are already here in America is what I'm saying."
Right.
Like, that's a lot of hate crimes against Asian people.
Well, and a lot of that was also perpetuated by the CCP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the ideal that Donald Trump was responsible for so much stuff was because of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. But that's going to be a topic for another show. That's going to do it for this evening's broadcast of Current Pulse. Thanks for joining us, Joey. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a good time.
I did.
Learned a thing or two. I learned a thing or two. We had a good discussion. It can be done, people. It actually can be done.
So like I said, we're not scary.
Yeah. All right, everyone, you guys have a good evening. Thanks for listening tonight, and remember, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. You can reach me at www.facebook.com/centerpiece. You can also email me at centerpieceshow@gmail.com, or you can shoot me a tweet at centerpiece show on Twitter. Thanks again for listening.